Relax and take notes while I take totes of the marijuana smoke. Throw you in a choke, gun smoke. Biggie Smalls for mayor, the rap slayer, the hooker layer. Motherfucker, say your prayers. Hail Mary, full of grace. Smack the bitch in the face, take her Gucci bag and a North Face off her back. Jab her if she act funny with the money. Oh, you got me mistaken, honey. I don't wanna rape ya, I just want the paper, the visa, the pisha. I'm out like the vapors. Who's the one?
The weight room went completely silent the second Bruce Lee walked in and saw him waiting there, a 300-pound inmate who had broken 4 men in that same room was standing in the middle of the floor with his arms crossed and a smile on his face. If you have ever wondered what real stillness looks like in the face of danger, subscribe right now. Because what happened next in that weight room, no one in that prison ever talked about the same way again. It was a Tuesday afternoon in the fall of 1972 at the California State Correctional Facility in San Bernardino. The weight room was one of the few places inside that facility where a man could be alone with his thoughts. It smelled like iron and sweat and old rubber mats. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Most inmates used the space in the early morning or right after lunch, but on Tuesday afternoons the room was usually empty. That was exactly why Bruce Lee went there. Bruce Lee had been inside for 11 weeks by that point. He was 30 years old, lean and quiet, and he moved through the facility like a man who had already made peace with every wall around him. He did not talk much. He did not join groups. He did not sit at the loud tables in the cafeteria or stand with the men who spent their yard time posturing near the fence. He trained alone, did his time, and kept his thoughts to himself. Most of the men in that facility had heard his name before he ever arrived. Some of them respected it. Others were not sure what to do with it. And one man had already decided that the name meant nothing. Marcus Cole was 34 years old, and he weighed 300 pounds. He was 6 feet 3 inches tall, with shoulders wide enough to block a doorway, and hands that looked like they had been carved from stone. He had been inside for 2 years, and in those 2 years, he had established himself as the undisputed physical authority of that cell block, not through politics, not through deals or favors, through the simple and brutal fact that no one had ever been able to make him move when he did not want to move. 4 men had tested that fact in the weight room specifically. All 4 had left that room needing medical attention. The 5th man who tested it was planning to be different. Marcus had heard about Bruce Lee the same way everyone else had. A small man from outside. Fast hands, they said. Trained his whole life in some kind of fighting style that nobody in here had ever seen. Marcus had listened to all of it and felt nothing. He had heard stories about small, fast men before. Every one of them bled the same way when you got your hands on them. Size was not a story. Size was a fact, and the fact was that Marcus Cole outweighed Bruce Lee by 160 pounds and had never once been put on the ground by any man in that building, so Marcus waited. He told 2 of his associates to spread the word quietly that Tuesday afternoon around 3:30 the weight room would be worth watching. Then he went in early, positioned himself in the center of the room, crossed his arms, and waited for Bruce Lee to walk through the door. Bruce Lee arrived at 3:28. He pushed open the heavy metal door, stepped inside, and stopped. The room was not empty. Marcus was standing directly in the center of it, and around the edges of the room, pressed against the walls and the weight racks, stood 14 inmates who had come to watch. The message was not subtle. This had been arranged. This was not an accident. Bruce Lee looked at Marcus for a long moment. His expression did not change. He set his small towel down on the nearest bench and said nothing. Marcus smiled. "You know who I am," he said. His voice was low and even, and it filled the room the way his body filled doorways. "Everyone in here knows who I am." Bruce Lee looked at him calmly. "I know who you are," he said. "Then you know why I am standing here," Marcus said. Bruce Lee did not answer immediately. He looked around the room slowly, taking in the faces along the walls. Some of them were watching with curiosity, some with anticipation, a few with something that looked almost like guilt, as if they already knew how this was going to end and were not entirely comfortable being there for it. Bruce Lee looked back at Marcus. "I came here to train," he said. "That is all I came here to do." Marcus took one step forward. His boots scraped against the rubber mat, and the sound was loud in the quiet room. "This room belongs to me," he said. "Every Tuesday afternoon this room belongs to me. You walked in here on a Tuesday afternoon, so now you belong to me too." The 14 men along the walls did not move. Nobody coughed. Nobody shifted their weight. The fluorescent lights kept humming. Bruce Lee was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was completely level. "No one belongs to anyone in here," he said. "We are all just men doing time. I have no interest in what you have built in this room. I have no interest in taking anything from you. I only want to train and leave." Marcus stared at him. The smile had not left his face, but something behind his eyes had shifted slightly. He had done this 4 times before, and every time the man across from him had shown something by now. A tremor in the voice, a step backward, eyes that moved too quickly to the door. Bruce Lee was showing none of those things, and that was either the most impressive thing Marcus had seen in 2 years or the most foolish. "You do not understand how this works," Marcus said. He took another step forward. He was 15 feet away now. "In this place, size is the only currency that matters. I have more of it than any man in this building. That means when I tell someone this room is mine on Tuesday afternoons, they have 2 choices. They leave or they find out what happens when they do not leave. 4 men chose wrong." He paused. "You look smarter than those 4 men." Bruce Lee looked at him without blinking. "I am not leaving," he said. The room shifted. It was barely perceptible, but every man along those walls felt it. The temperature of the air changed. Marcus uncrossed his arms. His hands fell to his sides and his fingers opened slowly the way they always did right before he moved. Then he moved. He came forward fast for a man his size, covering the distance between them in 2 long strides and driving his right hand forward in a straight heavy push aimed at Bruce Lee's chest. It was the move that had started every one of the 4 previous confrontations in that room. It was the move that established contact and established size and established the physical reality of what Marcus Cole was. Once his hands were on you, the fight was already over. His hand never arrived. Bruce Lee moved to the left a single small precise step, and Marcus's hand passed through empty air. The momentum carried Marcus forward slightly, and in that fraction of a second, Bruce Lee's right hand came up and made contact with Marcus's forearm, redirecting it further downward, while his left hand moved to Marcus's shoulder, not striking but guiding, using the 300 pounds of forward momentum that Marcus had generated entirely against itself. Marcus's own weight did the rest. The sound of Marcus hitting the rubber mat was enormous. It echoed off every wall. It shook the weight racks. The 14 men along the walls all made the same involuntary sound at the exact same moment, a short, sharp intake of breath that was almost perfectly synchronized. Marcus was on his back staring at the fluorescent lights. He was not unconscious. He was not seriously hurt, but he was on the floor and he had no clear memory of how he had gotten there, and that fact was more disorienting than any physical pain could have been. Bruce Lee took 1 step back and stood still. His breathing had not changed. His expression had not changed. He looked down at Marcus for a moment, and then he said something quietly. He said becoming is better than being. He said a man who spends all his time proving he cannot be moved is a man who has already stopped moving, and a man who stops moving has already stopped living. Marcus said nothing. He stared at the ceiling. Around the edges of the room, not one of the 14 men moved or spoke. Bruce Lee picked up his towel from the bench, walked to the far corner of the room, and began his training as if nothing had happened at all. The guards arrived 4 minutes later, responding to a report of a disturbance. they found Marcus Cole sitting on the rubber mat with his back against the wall and Bruce Lee working through a series of controlled movements in the corner with the quiet, focused intensity of a man who was completely alone. When the guards asked what happened, every man in that room gave the same answer. He slipped, they said. He was moving too fast and he slipped. Marcus Cole never came back to the weight room on Tuesday afternoons. What happened in that weight room on that Tuesday afternoon was never officially reported. There was no incident form, no disciplinary action, no record of any kind that anything unusual had occurred. But inside that facility, it became one of those stories that passed from man to man in the quiet hours after lights out. The details changed with each telling the way all stories do. But the center of it never changed. A 300-pound man who had never been put on the ground went to that weight room specifically to put Bruce Lee on the ground and ended up on the floor himself without Bruce Lee ever throwing a single punch in the traditional sense. And the part that stayed with people the most was not the fall. It was what Bruce Lee said afterward. Becoming is better than being. Most of the men who heard those words were not entirely sure what they meant at first, but they kept thinking about them. Long after they left that facility, long after the walls and the weight room and Marcus Cole were far behind them, those words stayed with them. That is the thing about real strength. It does not just end the moment in front of you. It follows people home. If this story moved something in you, then you are exactly who this channel was built for. Every single day we bring you the untold moments, the stories that never made headlines, the chapters that got left out of every biography and documentary. Bruce Lee left behind more than a fighting style. He left behind a way of seeing the world, and we are here to show you every layer of it, one story at a time. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a single upload. Drop a comment below and tell us what you think Bruce Lee was really thinking the moment he walked through that door and saw Marcus waiting. We read every single one. See you in the next story.